This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of their affiliated organizations.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ready to Connect. I'm Ryan,
I'm Lisa.
I'm Heather.
and today we're going to continue. It's part 2 of the Q&As. We have some awesome questions this time as well. But before we get into it, who wants to talk about what they did in the past week? Anything exciting? I feel like Lisa has
You're
something
looking
to
at
share.
me.
Yeah.
My husband and I, we treated ourselves to a weekend away in Las Vegas. We used travel points that we've acquired to get like free tickets, free hotels. So,
Oh, nice.
and we met up with Luke and Christine Seward there in Las Vegas. And the intent of the trip was to see Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. Because we don't gamble, we're not, we don't care about that kind of stuff, but we like the shows.
Mhm.
And it was amazing. So I remember watching Wizard of Oz during the holiday time. It would come out on TV, and we'd watch that movie and being, frightened by certain aspects of it when you were little. And but to see it reimagined as a 4D experience in this sphere, which is an amazing structure in and of itself, I can't even imagine what it'd be like to go to a concert there.
True.
Which they have. But you're in the middle of the tornado as it's happening in the movie. It's happening in the
wow.
theater. When those frightening trees throw their apples fall from the ceiling. I mean,
Wow.
they're foam, but they're still.
That's cool.
You have drones that are dressed up as the flying monkeys go through the whole theater. It was just a lot of fun. It was just great. I felt like a kid again in that theater. So that experience was just wonderful. But while there, we landed on a Friday morning, and Friday evening we went to go see a show. We went to go see RuPaul's Drag Race live show, which
Wow.
I love a good drag show. I love drag queens. They're just a lot of fun. The whole community is very uplifting. It's all about love, and
Yeah.
even though they have potty mouths, which doesn't bother me, and we had a great time. We had a great time watching that, and then we saw the Wizard of Oz on Saturday in the morning, and then in the evening we went to go see David Copperfield's show.
Wow.
He's 69, still performing. My
Really?
husband looked up stats. He performs over, I don't know how many, hundreds of shows in a year still.
That's
Sometimes
impressive.
working 7 days a week. He has his own theater at the MGM Hotel. I am flabbergasted. I'm thinking, yeah, I can figure this stuff out. I don't know how he does that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like my mouth is open, jaw on the floor. I'm like, how did that car just materialize right there? How'd that happen?
Wow.
It's the illusions. It was just amazing. It was a great way to end the weekend. And of course, Sunday, we spent the whole day traveling back. My husband and I. We had to take a flight to Seattle first, and then back to Boston. But on the flight to Seattle, we got to see Mount Rainier from the airplane, and that was a really cool vantage point. I think I put that up in my own Instagram stories, but that was it was an amazing weekend. Luke and Chris are great people, and we just had easy conversation and wonderful get together. It was an amazing weekend, and I'm so glad that we did that. And my husband and I don't do a lot of spontaneous things. My husband, being an actuary, spontaneity is not really his go-to, but we had said when we saw this movie being reimagined on TV on a news program, we had both said, "Oh, that'd be fun to go see." And I said, "We should do that." And we often say we should do that and never do. And this time we did, so that was great. It was a wonderful weekend. Yeah.
That's great.
What about y'all?
Oh, Saturday night was lots and lots of fun. Every year, myself and my girlfriend, she is always so kind and so sweet. She always gets tickets every year to go see the Equine Affair at the Big E.
Oh, wow.
It's a separate event from the Big E, but it's held at the fairgrounds
Mhm.
in the World War II bunker. No, the arena there. so impressive. Over the years, COVID kind of took away some of the acts, and so there was a lot of improvising going on, and people couldn't travel across the borders, and so there was a lot going on. And this year was a real treat. The Canadian Cowgirls came down from Canada, and they gave us a show. Every skit they performed was incredible. Not to denote the other like skits that were happening, they were absolutely incredible. There was one young lady, she was 14, riding bareback,
14.
standing up on two horses around the ring,
Wow.
and then she traded in for one horse, and she was doing like all this acrobats with the horse,
Wow.
like coming
That's
up
incredible.
the side of the horse and going all the way around the ring, holding on to the saddle, like so incredible. The show, not that the other shows weren't incredible, but this one kind of topped the cake because you can see everybody starting to come out, being able to travel and come out. And I think the best part of that show, in conjunction with just the horses, was at intermission time, to raise the vibration of the building. Everybody takes their phones out, because it used to be in the old days we used to take our lighters out.
Oh yeah.
But you can't do
Okay.
that anymore.
Nope.
And everybody takes their phone out and puts their flashlight on, and
Oh.
we do Sweet Caroline
Yep.
from Neil Diamond, and just to watch the energy of the whole building, which is packed because it's full of little girls who want to be horseback riders, and full of people with envy of horses, and the whole roof just comes off when you get into the tagline of Sweet Caroline. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice night out. Dusty, but that's okay.
You've been going to that show for quite a
Carol
few years
has treated me to that show for several years now, and
Yeah.
I look forward to it every
Yeah.
year to go with her. It's incredible. The agility of the horses, the creativeness of the skits, and just to be like able to ride a horse like that in some of these positions that they do, I would never be able to achieve that, even in my younger years.
Wow.
now. Heather has a
So-
very amazing connection to horses.
I love horses.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do. And I have several friends that have horses, so I always try to keep that connection. So, and they keep the connection too. My girlfriend Kelly has two horses, Crew and Raina. And Crew is the Queen of England. She's very proper. She does everything kind of with her head held high, and she's always checking in with me at random times, which is great that we've established that psychic connection where like in the middle of the day, I'll be like, oh, I need to call Kelly because, Crew's talking to me. And then there's Raina the baby, who is our court gesture. She's always making funny faces. She's always ninnying. She's always kind of bumping into you. She wants your attention, but she's a spoiled brat as well. It's adorable. It's just so funny to see the difference in personalities of horses. But yeah, I love Raina. She's always doing these weird, like, whenever I have pictures of Raina, her tongue's hanging out and she's doing like the side eye and she's laughing at you, and it's just so great to be around them. Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
That's
And you,
incredible.
Ryan?
Yeah, this past weekend didn't do too much. It was kind of low key. Although I got to go to my parents' house because we were celebrating both of their birthdays. so
Nice.
that was nice because they
Well,
rarely.
happy birthday, Mom and Dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
happy birthday.
Yeah, they rarely celebrate together, so it was pretty cool that we were able to just do that together and just to spend some time.
Family time.
So, yeah,
Important.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it for this weekend. Trying to think if anything else happened. Not really. Yeah, nothing as exciting as the two of you, but it was still good seeing your
Normally my
family.
weekends are pretty
so-
quiet. This
Yeah,
was
me
this is
too.
an event we look forward
Right.
to. Yeah. So it's love at first sight when you see all these horses dressed up and doing their thing. So
Wow.
Well, let's get right to the questions then.
Sure.
What we got?
Let's see. So we have what has been the wildest experience you have had using your gifts?
well, if it's okay, I'll jump in on that one.
Sure. Yeah.
Many years ago, we used to go on ghost hunts, and I was friends with a few people that had ghost hunting teams, and so we were they lined up a gig where we went to the Elks Club in Hartford, and we had, all sorts of machines to, the EVP machine and the squawk box and like the meters and everything, and we're going through, and what a beautiful building, by the way,
I can imagine,
with
yeah.
incredible history.
Yeah.
It was so incredible, but an investigator and I had gone up to the very top floor, and so back in the day, the Elks Club and some of your other clubs that are out there had housing for when you came in on a merchant ship or a Navy ship or whatever. You could spend the night there. You had lodging, free lodging. That's the way they did it, so you didn't end up on the street, basically. And so I went in there very innocently up to the third floor, just thinking, okay, people would come into port and just spend time here because they were part of the club. And we started recording, and the investigator I was with, we heard someone speaking, which we knew were the only two people on the top of the floor. And so we kind of kept walking, and he's, recording, and all of a sudden we both stopped because my butt got pinched. And I knew the gentleman that was with me was 10 feet in front of me, so I knew he didn't touch me.
Wow.
Not that he would either.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, so who is this? Who are you?
Yeah.
And the reply was, are you the hooker?
Oh. Wow.
And at first your whole body rhythm goes, what?
Yeah.
And then on the EVP we heard, are you here to please me? And I was like, absolutely not. I am out of here.
Yeah.
Nope,
Wow.
not today. So then we ended up connecting back with the group and going downstairs into the basement where the kitchen is. And they had that squawk box set up. And the squawk box kept saying my name, saying my name, saying my
Really?
name. And I just kind of left it alone because, like, I didn't want it to be about me. We were in a whole
Right.
group of investigators. And
Oh,
then...
wow.
And then the squawk box said, get upstairs. And it was like, oh,
You are being
Wow.
summoned.
shock value of like, oh, is that who you think I am? Absolutely not. So that was probably one of my wildest experience as a psychic, connecting not with my own sensories, just everything, all the tools that we had being utilized.
True.
Because I heard the voice, but we also picked it up on a recording, EVP recording.
And you got your butt pinched.
And I got my bum pinched, yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wild
I
experience.
remember you telling me about that when you got back from that. I was like,
Yeah.
what? What were you wearing?
Jeans and a sweater,
Yeah.
yeah. It was like innocent, but like, yeah, So yeah, I guess that went on up there on the third, at the, attic of the Elks Club, was probably inadvertently, but pretty wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about you, Ryan?
That- I don't know if
Can you top the hooker
I cannot
experience? over
top
there?
that. No.
I could just imagine the spirit. Ryan, get in here.
Nope, not
No,
today.
No.
Not today.
Wow. I was gonna ask you a follow-up question with that though. Now after you went on this investigation, did the group do any research afterwards to see like what you found?
If it was a brothel up
If
there.
it yeah.
I don't
Was
think
there
it was a
anything
brothel.
found,
It
or-
was just
Men.
Men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was.
And if you were a woman brought into the men's club, you must be there for.
And you gotta imagine like the Elks Club back in World War II, World War One. Housing soldiers that are or merchants that came into port, that they were looking for a good time. They were looking to have some fun, and so
Yeah.
that probably, I'm sure it happened.
Right.
But probably behind the scenes, like I don't think the
Yeah.
Elks Club puts themselves out there ever saying, "Oh, we'll get you the hooker for the night."
Certainly not.
No.
Can I ask you a question too? Were you the only? Because I know the group. Were you the only female that night?
Oh, that's a good question.
No, I was not the only female. The investigator I was with, his wife was with us.
Okay, all right. So she was. There too. All right.
And then there was another investigator with us, and his wife was with
Okay,
her.
all right.
So with him. So No, I was not the only female.
But you were
of
the only
group.
female that went upstairs.
I was the only female that went up to the
Oh,
third
okay.
floor.
Yeah, okay.
The other two females were doing
Yeah.
the other portions of the Elks Club, which is quite large, quite beautiful, like craftsmanship that beyond what we see in today's era, you know. So no, I was not the only
Okay.
female.
Yeah.
I just happened to be the lucky one that went up the
upstairs.
stairs, and they thought I was the one.
Wow.
That's just too funny.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Wow. Well, I definitely cannot top that story.
But what is your wildest experience?
This is a tough question to answer.
Well,
Yeah.
you were talking with me earlier about how you have purchased.
Oh, true.
and
Yeah.
it's
That is a wild
it's
experience.
going
too.
to
yeah.
it needs a little meditation and
Yeah.
a little kind of exploration.
Yeah, yeah. So, with the, and you know what? And Heather, you bring up a good point too. So I'll explain to our viewers here, the people listening. But yeah, so I purchased a new car a couple months back, and I realized that there was like a spirit in the car. His name is Maverick, and he kind of just like pops up whenever. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like.
Whenever you get too close to the car in front of you?
Yep. That's usually when it happens.
Or you need to go right instead of left.
Exactly. He'll be like, "Hey, go," like kind of just guiding, and
Okay.
I mean, but it's appreciated.
A spiritual GPS.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I love it.
Wonder if we can market that somehow.
We
And
might be able to.
Yeah. but yeah, it was just interesting that when I got into the car, and I mean, this is a newer car. I'm not used to any of the high tech stuff. I'm not used to a backup camera or anything like that, and so I'm still getting used to it. But now it's like got to the point where even if it's the car being like, hey, someone's on the side of the car or whatever, I'll be like, thank you, Maverick. Even though I don't know, I doubt it's the car telling me that, but I just say thank you, Maverick, because I feel like he's still guiding me.
Absolutely.
So
I'm old school. I can't use those
Yeah.
cameras. You have a
Yeah,
camera. in
Oh,
your
I love
car
my
that's,
I love my backup camera.
I don't-
I'm still looking around. I
love
I
my
got an
backup camera.
old-fashioned kind of truck. I still
Yeah.
have to put, turn around and look backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know what I did without a backup camera, actually, when I think about it. But so when you purchased this car,
Yeah.
you purchased the spiritual essence to it as well, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
Could you imagine? Hey, was it a used car or a pre-owned car?
It was a new car. There was at least 15 miles still on it. Or on it before. So
Okay, so it's
it
pretty bad.
is new. Yeah.
So it's interesting how it came with a spirit.
yeah. So I was
And
like,
I'm
how did
almost
that
wondering, Ryan, is this a spirit connected with you who has never made itself known, and now that you're
yeah.
opening all your gifts, that maybe this Maverick is like, okay, I'm your ride or die today. Like,
Yeah, you've been in too many accidents, honey.
what I
So
was
now I'm gonna be.
thinking, That's what I was thinking too. Maverick's like, nah, you're not gonna get that close. Like, I've had way
You
too
couldn't
many
hear me
experiences with
before,
cars.
but now you can.
Exactly.
So
Yep. Exactly.
that's too funny. Yeah.
it warrants doing some kind of sitting in your car one day and just maybe opening a conversation.
Right.
Because I'd love to know. I would love to see if Maverick would answer to you that I came with the car, or I've been with you all along, and now that you're opening your gifts, you're you're hearing and seeing more, or
Right.
if
And I really like your car, and I don't want you to bang it up anymore.
That could be it. Yeah. Because I've had too many car accidents. So
Yeah.
I've been in at least 7, and none of them were my fault. So, but
So you say.
horrible.
well, it's written on paper.
Okay,
None of them were
okay,
my
all
fault.
right.
It's been proven through the insurance company
Yes,
in a court of
exactly.
law.
Yeah. So maybe it is. You're right. So maybe it is. Now that it's like, hey, we don't want you to have
You
any
got
more
this
issues.
big fancy car.
So we're
yeah.
gonna give you a little more awareness than you had before. Yeah,
Like I'm already putting the bubble, but now have a spirit as well. So
that's pretty wild.
Lisa, do you remember when we went to the Mark Twain house and how we captured that picture? I wonder if we still have that picture in our archives.
The picture of the spirit on the stairs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I took that
wow.
picture, and I think I gave. I don't think I have it anymore. I think I gave
Okay.
it over to the lead investigator.
Okay.
I know it came. I know a calendar was created with photos, and that photo was put in the calendar. I don't know if I have the calendar anymore.
Oh, it's been so long.
It's been a lot of years ago, but I think I might have kept it just because it was my photo. I've captured a lot of cool photos.
Hmm.
And that one was really neat. You can clearly see a spirit coming either up or down the stairs
Wow.
in the Mark Twain house.
That's cool.
And we'll go right into my wild experience then
Sure.
too, because it does involve a photo, and it happened actually over in Ireland. And the first trip to Ireland had a lot of different experiences, pretty wild. It was the first time I've ever channeled the Holy Mother. It was over in Ireland during the summer solstice thing, and that was very powerful energy. I've never channeled that energy before. Other deities and ascended masters for sure, but not her, and that was very powerful. But one of the coolest, and I guess you could say wildest, because I actually got photo evidence of it, was in Killarney National Park. And we, in one of our stops at Killarney, was at Killarney National Park, and the group of us, we were a group of healers, and we had also with us musicians, and the fiddle player that was with us, and myself, my husband, and a couple of us. We were walking in one of the trails in Killarney National Park. We were going to go over to where there was, I think, a waterfall. And I kept feeling energy, because being clairsentient, I could feel the energy. I kept feeling energy following us. And I would look around. I couldn't really get a sense of exactly where it was. And, my husband, being cued into my cues, said, "What's going on?" And I said, "You know what, just walk ahead. I'll catch up to you guys." And so they all went ahead, and I'm by myself, and I remember saying, "I feel you. I know you're here. Show yourself." Didn't get anything. I'm not very clairvoyant anyway. Maybe if I was, I would have seen. And I just started to snap photos with my camera wherever I felt the energy. Photo. And then later, back in the room, I started looking through those photos. And when you enlarge one photo, you clearly see an entity poking its head out of a bush, a little, I don't know
Sprite.
if it was a tree sprite, some elemental. And I could share that picture. I still have that on my phone. I'll share that on our stories or on our social media.
Sure.
I can show the picture as it is, and then when you enlarge it to get close to the bush, you can see this face sticking out, and it was just like jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
And show it to the group to just like, and of course, it wasn't a mistake to show it with the group, but once you do that, then everybody was coming by with their cameras. Can you look at my picture and see if you see anything? Can you look at my picture and see if you see anything? But that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to pick one wild experience.
Yeah.
but
Right.
that was pretty wild to actually get the photo evidence of it, and and to have sensed it. So there we go. That's that question. What else we
Wow.
got?
Oh, we have any of you worked with the police on a case? If so, what did you have to do?
So I've never worked with the police.
I don't have experience working with the police either.
I have worked with several police departments who have entrusted me to come on board and either try to find a missing person or other scenarios. I would say, what do you have to do? Well, first you get invited in, because to have a police department kind of allow you to come in is huge.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it goes, definitely against the grain of how they perceive their world as a police officer or a sergeant or whatever.
right.
Very fact-based oriented.
Very
Yeah.
fact-based, exactly.
Evidence, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But most of these guys, most police officers can offer up some form of story that is definitely connected with spirit, but maybe they use different ideology or different wording because it just doesn't make sense to them. But most of the time you get connected with maybe a detective or another police officer, and hopefully that police officer trusts you and doesn't think your gifts are woo-woo, or I've heard all sorts of different names.
I'm sure you have.
And once you get connected, you pull out maps of the area that they believe that the person may be. And for me, I'll pull out an area map of where they believe she might be, or he might be, or it. And then you grid it out. You grid the map out and you use a pendulum to connect with the energy that you're searching for, and you start going block by block on that
Wow.
map, gridding out, like, is she here or
Yeah.
he here? Are they here? Are they here? Are they here?
Wow.
That's one way to start, like, the whole motion of connection
Yeah.
with the person that's being that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Another way to do it is you connect with either the detective or the police officer, and you connect with that person. If they're still alive, you can start trying to use remote viewing, which we have talked about
Okay.
in the
Yep.
past. Or you connect to this person and you just start watching like a movie reel, almost like the different pictures they're giving you, like maybe houses or
Mhm.
businesses or street names. On the last investigation that I worked with, the police department, I could clearly see a bug
Mhm.
and I've a flower. It was a street that was named after a bug, but I couldn't grab it off. It was blurry on the street sign, but I could tell it was some form of bug name. And then I could see the next street that the person had gone on to was a flower. Well, this detective that was working with me in this last case that I've worked on was going through the different streets, and we ended up finding Locust Street and Hyacinth Street.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes these visions are in real time, and some
Right.
of that sometimes they're past imagery.
Okay.
So that's part of the detective work of really narrowing down. And as you travel through each grid, you receive images. You tap into that source, maybe finding the heartbeat to see if they're still alive, which is hard to decipher. I learned that lesson the hard way. Sometimes the heartbeat you're hearing isn't always alive. So now I understand, because I've been through it a couple times, a deceased heartbeat versus a live heartbeat. It's hard to, again, a lot of misconception out there is that psychics only talk to dead people. We don't.
Right.
We also connect to live energy. So that's been my experience. And the most officers and detectives that hook up with you have some form of belief or have seen something. And so that makes it a lot easier to work with. I remember really early in my career, even prior to Serenity Grove Wellness Center, was brought on, but the police officer was just absolutely not a believer. And so
Wow.
he threw every angst that he could at me, which
Yeah.
fortunately I was able to like answer or put it to rest that, I'm not crazy.
Right. Right. Yeah.
This is the veil, how I see the world and whatnot. So there's different methods because I'm a clairvoyant and clairaudient. So I lean on those two skills heavily, where I've been brought on a team where someone else may be not clairvoyant or clairaudient. They might be clairsentient or, have different abilities, which we all do, right? And then in conjunction, you start building a picture, a full picture of what is going on with everybody sitting at the table.
I think it's a way to give detail or facts to the police that they can't maybe themselves grasp at that moment, that you're able to grab for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's jaw dropping when like you tell this officer, I know where you are. You need to take a left, go left. And then like to hear them go, oh, wow.
Wow.
Holy crap! That
Holy
is real.
beep 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 beep. And they're like, and like this last one was like, oh wow, I'm on Locust Street. It's a bug,
Wow.
right? So
Yeah.
like all little things stand out. And sometimes the several cases I've been on, we've been successful, and some cases we've been successful in locating, but unfortunately
not with a good outcome.
was not a good outcome. But
Wow.
at least located
Right. Right.
for
Yeah.
family closure
Right.
and just prosecution. Prosecute who did this too.
Right.
I've being Heather's business partner, a couple times that she has been involved, that we've been partners in place, I will tell you that it is pretty much all encompassing for her. She's really not available. Doesn't have like the bandwidth to entertain
don't.
more than just what's going on in that moment, because
That's
it is sort of
understandable.
like an emergency type
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
Mhm.
When if the police are calling in a psychic, it's an emergency
Yeah,
situation kind
yeah.
of thing, and all else has kind of been exhausted. But
Yeah, it really takes your whole focus and
Yeah.
it takes all your energy because you're
Wow.
physically trying to put yourself into this. You're mentally putting yourself in this. You're emotionally putting yourself in, which I have to learn as an empath. I love people. I take on a lot of energy. So in a situation working with the police department, you have to really reel in those emotions. So
Oh,
like
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
have to stay hyper focused. And yes, Lisa's correct. When that comes around, unfortunately I have to set like everything else on the outside. All my body can do, my mind, body, and soul all it can do is focus on this, and like everything else is chatter.
I think the most I will talk with her during those times is checking in. You okay?
Yep.
Question mark, and just
Yep.
responds yes or whatever, an emoji, and just leave it alone. Yeah.
Wow.
Because you have to stay hyper focused because you're
Right.
trying to track, right?
Right,
Like a
right.
dog finding a scent, that dog's going to track the scent.
Right.
Well, as a psychic, we're trying to track whatever sensory we can grab to get information.
Right.
All the information, even if it's the smallest detail, that information is important. I remember one case like this, the psychic I was working with, she kept seeing fleur-de-lis, fleur-de-lis. She kept saying it over and over, and it was like a earworm. She couldn't stop saying it. So we finally said, okay, where in this grid where we believe this person is would have fleur-de-lis? Does it have old homes on the street? Does
Oh,
it
yeah.
have a church? Does it, because like architecture back in the day was beautiful, right? So you
Yeah.
start working on looking at architecture that has lots of fleur-de-lis. And between myself, her, and there was one other psychic involved with that case, we ended up finding a very old building in a historical downtown where the grid mark had checked off that this person possibly was there, and that person was there.
Wow.
So the fleur-de-lis is a small detail.
Yeah.
You just think fleur-de-lis, but like when you repetitively get the earworm and you can't let it go, you work with that. You work on trying to narrow down what that imagery is for.
Wow.
And it ended up being a church.
Yeah.
And a really old church with
Yeah.
the architecture, all just fleur-de-lis all over it. It was really cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's my experience working with the police. I've only had one negative experience, and all the times I was brought on,
That's pretty good. Good track record.
you get challenged. You get challenged, and sometimes I don't
That's a
want to
good way of
deal with the
wording it.
challenge.
Mhm.
And so, like, your button gets kind
I
of
was gonna say
pushed.
your button gets pushed pretty quick with that. You know?
Yeah, when you're constantly like, this gentleman was assigned to work with me, but he clearly didn't believe. And so he challenged everything hardcore, and I was able to back it up some. But at some point, when you're challenged so hard, you just throw your hands up. You're like, because you're just making it more difficult, because now you're making me nervous because you're constantly challenging everything I'm saying, even though we're giving you proof points. And I think on that one, the team, we all decided this guy just made it too much of a challenge, that we backed off. We just completely backed away. There's no need for it. Like, you have your base team, your baseline team of detectives and police dogs and whatever that department has for resources doing their job, trying to locate that person. So we're just a sideline. So any information we can give is a benefit.
Right.
But if you're going to constantly challenge it and constantly poo-poo somebody or make fun of them and not really follow up, you're going to get frustrated. And then eventually we just all said, well, you clearly don't want our help, even though you brought us here. We're having a personality conflict. And so you just let it be.
Wow.
It happens.
Yeah.
There's people out here that don't believe that these abilities are valid.
Right.
no matter how much you prove to them that it's valid. And we all told this gentleman things that nobody could know. Nobody could know. And still, he was insistent that I somehow was able to get a hold of that kind of information on the internet, which was not possible.
In the moment.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
welcome it. I like the challenge. I like the connection. I like doing good for people. I have to learn to really control the emotions because, like, you can get really invested emotionally, which is hard, especially if it's not a great outcome.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I beat myself up pretty hard the last one.
You did.
Natural.
Yeah.
The last case I worked on, the woman was pregnant, so
Yeah.
there was 2 heartbeats,
Right.
and then there was none. So,
Yeah.
it takes a toll on you too. You got to really ground yourself. You have to really take care of yourself, put your spiritual bubbles up, say a lot of prayers. It doesn't have to be religious prayers, but you have to prep yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Right.
Otherwise, you might take it with you.
I can imagine.
So,
yeah.
that's my experience with police.
There you go.
I'm grateful for it.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Next question is, have you ever been frightened by any of your experiences with spirits?
What about you, Ryan? Ever been frightened about anything?
I haven't been frightened. I mean, I was kind of shocked, I suppose.
Startled?
Yeah, startled. That's a good way of putting it. So, I think I may have shared this before, but when I was younger, I would get off the bus, and I was like in elementary school, get off the bus and cross the street to get to the house. And I was walking, I think I was listening to music. No, I probably was listening to music then. But anyway, walking down the street, and then I heard someone shouting so loudly in my ear, like, Ryan, and I just looked up in time to see a car. Oh, another instance of a car. All right, I saw a car coming right towards me, and it wasn't getting out of the way. It wasn't like, swerving or anything.
He was playing chicken with you.
Yeah. So I had to jump onto, someone's lawn, and made it out, and the car just zoomed right past me. And then afterwards I looked around, and I was like, oh, no one's outside or anything. And there was one of our neighbors had a daycare, and I knew they were always outside, and they knew me and everything, but none of them were outside that day. So yeah, it was kind of crazy that, and also the fact that I was listening to music as well, but yet I still heard so loudly, like as if someone was right next to me. So it wasn't frightening. It was more of like, okay, well, no one's outside, and I don't know where that came from, but thank you. So
Maybe that was Maverick.
Yeah,
way
there you
back
go.
then.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Ever been frightened by spirits? Heather?
No, I can't. I was sitting with this question when it came through, and I can't think of a time that I was so frightened, nervous, maybe, not feeling quite, comfortable in my own skin, but not
Scared or spooked
not
or
frightened to the point where, it's visceral, or, you're not in control of any of your emotions. I don't have an experience like that. I have startled experience because you weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
Even to this day, at my, even though this has been my whole life, there's still things that impress me. Like, wow, that really happened. Like, I still have visceral experiences, but never been frightened to the point where.
I don't think
Yeah.
I've been startled, like, because I'm not clairvoyant. It's not my usual go-to. I have been, but it's not my go-to. So there's one time just getting ready for a client, and I came out of my kitchen into the healing room, and then right there was a man standing right there, and it startled me. And then when I realized what was going on, you try to grab as much information, but it
Your
didn't
kitty
scare me.
Odin had a frightening experience when the horse walked in the room.
Yeah, yes. Well, it was more insistent, like this spirit horse does not belong here. Get rid of it, Mom. Yeah, he was quite beside himself with, yeah, quite beside himself with that horse that stepped in.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't really been frightened. I've always felt very protected and
Yeah.
guided. So I've never, even growing up, like I was one to walk alone in the streets at night kind of thing, not really frightened by much. Other things would frighten me, but not spirits. I've been frightened for people, which probably gets into the next question that we have there.
Oh. Yeah, do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, it's how do you know if someone is possessed?
Because they're completely not acting as themselves.
Okay. That makes sense.
You
Yeah.
can clearly see the body language changes. Even if it's subtle, it's still body language change. Maybe the voice changes, like it's a different
yeah.
octave than normal, or the demeanor changes where it's brass or it's really like childlike, or but there is a difference between possession and channeling too.
Right. Well, I had a possession,
Mm-hmm.
and then after I was no longer possessed, I continued to channel the same spirit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
That's
so I
interesting.
can give that experience.
Sure.
I will say that I think some of our TV shows and movies have created this thought about possession as being very evil. And
Yeah.
you're out to kill people because you're possessed by
Oh.
evil spirits and stuff.
Yeah.
That's not my experience, but
Not my experience either.
and one of the paranormal investigating situations, same team.
I wasn't there.
You weren't there. We went to a home, and there was a young spirit. Her name was Mary. That was there, and she took a liking to me. Maybe she was 4 or 5, young.
I was just going to ask how old she
Yeah,
was. Okay.
little. Crawled up. I could feel her. In fact, I holding her. If that footage from that investigation is still around, you could probably see on some of the cameras me just kind of like putting my arm around a young girl who was sitting in my lap, and her name was Mary, and she didn't like it. She didn't like where she was. She didn't like the other spirits that were in the house. She was very frightened by them, and we have to understand that I was an elementary school teacher. I have children of myself, and always worked with kids. I have a very open heart for children, and spirit children no different. And so she took a liking to me. She felt very comfortable. A lot of the investigators on the team, particularly the lead one, is a big burly guy, so that is not as welcoming to a young child as maybe a female would be. But and I remember leaving the upstairs, the bedroom, saying, "Mary, you need to stay here. We're going to go downstairs." And she followed us downstairs. In fact, you could, if the EVP, remember listening to the EVP, the voice recording, her saying, "I'm going to go with you.
Oh.
Go with you." She came downstairs and right up to my lap, and I'm like, okay, so we're supposed to be connecting with the woman of the house, but here is Mary again in my lap. And when we were packing up ready to go, the part of the investigation where you ask spirits to stay where they belong didn't happen.
Oh, wow.
And even though I'm saying, "Mary, you need to go back upstairs or go back to your room," my heart, my soul said, "You can come with me. It's okay, Mary. You can come with me." And so she did.
Wow.
Right in there. Right inside me. And I think immediately my behavior started to change. Now, I'm a coffee drinker. I drink a lot of coffee. I love my coffee. And here it is, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm in the back seat with my other girlfriend, Karen, who came to this investigation. And I am sitting on my hands, and I'm bouncing like this. And like, that was really cool. Wasn't that cool? That was really cool. And bouncing around. And I remember Karen saying, "How much coffee did you have?" I don't know, but that was really cool, and just the way a kid would sort of talk. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe a week or so went by. And then at that point in our business, we were still creating our classes, and we would get together and write. And she had come over, Heather had come over, and I was telling her about the investigation, but I'm sitting on my feet. You know how kids would
Oh,
sit on their
yes.
feet
Yeah.
and bouncing? Now, I'm a full 10 years older than this woman. And even if that was 10 years ago, I'm not about to be sitting on my feet
Lisa
bouncing
doesn't
on them.
sit on her feet.
And
Exactly.
Right.
using words like Nito and, just the way I would talk. And now my own family, my husband, my two older kids were off to college, and then just my younger son back. I mean, they're all busy, so they're not really noticing any difference. And I am a little bit of a child at heart, so I do act that way. But this one here next to me noticed immediately, and I remember her hand coming and touching my heart, and she goes, "Oh my God, Lisa, Mary's inside you. You're possessed."
Wow.
Go
I don't
right
think I
upstairs.
quite said it that way, but
You
pretty
did.
close.
You did. You're pretty
okay.
close. And you said, "You need to go salt shower right now." And you were insistent, right now. And I'm like, we're in the middle of making this class. I'm not about to take the time and go do a salt shower, because salt can
Ground
disengage
you
and
and
disengage that spiritual energy from you. And I immediately started to get very agitated. And that was Mary making me agitated.
Oh,
Like, how
wow.
dare you come in here and tell me that I can't be within this woman who loves me so much. And but I promised her that when she leaves, I would go up and do a salt shower. Now, the Lisa part of me would keep that promise. And I remember doing that salt shower, crying the whole time, because I felt so bad for this little girl.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, Mary, you can't, Heather's right. You can't be within me. You need to leave." And so as I was doing it, I did something. Now, this is spiritual no. Do not do this. To tell our classes, do not do this. When I let her out, I said, "But you can stay in the house if you like.
Oh.
You're welcome to stay in the house." Now, Mary doesn't belong in my house.
Yeah.
She needs to be crossed. But so she said, "That's fine." Well, a couple weeks later, my husband and son are away golfing and for the week. And I said, "Heather, come on over. We'll have a girls' night kind of thing." And we're sitting there in front of the fire, and all of a sudden my clairvoyant friend says, "There's a spirit child next to you." And I'm like, crap. And I'm like, no, there's not. No, there's not.
She was
It must be
playing
the
coy.
wine.
Yeah, you were playing coy.
That must
no.
be the wine you're drinking. I don't know about that. And all of a sudden Hallie goes, "Oh my God, it's Mary." And she immediately grabs our smudging stuff,
Yeah.
cracks the window open, and is going to smudge Mary out of the house and cross her. And I started to channel Mary.
Oh, wow.
And Mary was angry, does not like Heather. And I have in the room we were in these ceramic coasters. They're very heavy. And this is probably the one time I was frightened working with spirit.
Okay.
I picked up this coaster, and I was about to wing it at her. I mean, really
Wow.
hurt her with it. And I had it up in my hand and about to throw it, and I remember
And then
shouting.
I gave her the Luso look.
And
with
then
the
I'm
finger.
Yeah, I'm about to, and I shouted at her, "Cut it out, you big fat meanie!" Now, these are words that would never come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, I looked at the coaster, got my stopped channeling, put that back down,
Yeah.
sat on my hands, and I remember saying, "You've got to go, Mary." And I just wouldn't look up. I let Heather smudge her out, and Heather crossed her. And Mary sometimes does come back to visit.
Oh, okay.
But if Heather's in the house, she will not come in. She just looks through the window. But that's probably the most time I've been frightened. I was frightened for Heather because I was
Understandable.
about to hurt
Yeah.
a friend.
Yeah, yeah.
And that
Wow.
was channeling, though. That wasn't as I was possessed. Possessed by Mary, I was just having a grand old time,
Right.
just being a kid.
Wow.
Yeah. So behavior change, or your vocabulary might change. Yeah.
I wasn't possessed. I had done a psychic party once, and I wasn't possessed, but I brought someone home with me.
Sort of attached.
And he was attached, and I didn't recognize it. It was really early in my career. Didn't recognize that he had attached himself to me, and the person that I was with clearly recognized and said there's something going on, because my demeanor kind of changed. I was not behaving myself. It was kind of interacting with how I kind of walk through life. It wasn't until like a couple days later where like I did something in my own home, and I instantly, that little light bulb went off, like, that is not me.
Wow.
That is not me. And so immediately went down to the lake, because I live on Coventry Lake, and like walked down to the water and like stuck my feet in the water and began performing a ceremony to let this person like go in peace. It wasn't fun. It was definitely a male energy. It was definitely very angry. It had some kind of turmoil, and it was actually, like when you're hanging out with people, you're happy, right? And then you walk into a room and someone's having a bad moment, and boom,
Yeah.
your energy just falls
Yeah.
right down. Well, that's what was happening. Like,
Wow.
this person wasn't, like, happy.
Yeah.
And so I started, like, projecting that, but that's not who I am. I'm generally a happy person.
Right.
And I'm generally happy-go-lucky. I have my moments. We all do. But I wouldn't say I was possessed, but he attached himself. And then through the water ceremony that I did, I was able to release him.
Sometimes that happens because they know you're a healer, and so
Mm.
he probably need healing and attached
And he
to get
did.
that healing. So once you can,
And I
unattach
remember
them,
the
you
psychic
can heal.
party being on an old piece of property. The house was probably like in the 60s, but the property, believe, had trauma. I never went and searched it all out. I just wanted to get rid of the guy. So, but looking back, the property had some form of negative energy happening, and I just completely soaked it up. But not as a possession, just an attachment.
Right.
Ever
Wow.
felt like you were attached to somebody, Ryan?
No, not that I. Yeah.
well, that's good then.
That's good.
Yeah.
Call us if it ever happens.
I'm gonna knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Everybody
just
knock
to
on
make
wood.
sure.
Just smudge that around.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had an experience like that.
Yeah.
But hearing both of your stories, that's good to know, for reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that it can happen.
I mean,
So,
aside from when I was channeling Mary, Mary was a possession that I wasn't set out to hurt anybody.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
still,
actually,
doesn't-
anybody in our circle, my circle, I don't know of anybody that's actually been possessed, and
Yeah.
I have never, I have never taken a serious phone call in the business that they believe they're possessed,
no, we've had people that thought they were cursed.
cursed, which could be a real thing too. Possessed, generally, the few times that someone has reached out to Serenity Grove, it wasn't they were possessed. They were actually medically deficient. Like their vitamins were deficient. They were having medical issues, which made them feel possessed.
Understandable.
Yeah, so there's a real big difference between psychiatric and possession and attachment, and you just need to pay attention to all the cues.
Right. Wow. Well, that's all good to know.
Yeah.
We have one last question.
We
Do we have
do.
time for that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. The last question is, I sometimes feel like the plants and trees are talking to me when I go hiking.
Yes.
Could that be true, or is that
Yes.
is that
Yes,
my
yes.
imagination? Has that ever happened to any of you?
So
Yes.
when I was in Ireland, some wonderful tree spirits would talk. And having been with people who were shamanic or native, I happen to know that you don't take pictures of tree spirits unless you get permission. So you have to ask for permission to take tree spirits. You need to give an offering. I know that someone traveled with tobacco or sugar cubes as an offering in Ireland, and a lot of times it's the sugar.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I remember, again, in Killarney National Park, walking through, and all these wonderful tree spirits, I could see them in the trees.
Wow.
The trees, you could see the faces and stuff, and I'm like, can I take your picture? Can I take your picture? And most of them said yes, so I'll have to search those out, maybe get those on socials. But I remember one tree spirit said, no, you may not. I am busy.
Okay.
I'm like, you're busy. I have to watch here and make sure that the people walking down the path are allowed to go there. Like he was like the sentry or the guard of the path to the waterfall.
Oh.
I'm busy. I'm like, okay, all right. I put my camera away. I'm like, I won't take a picture. And then I caught a couple pictures of tree spirits and stuff like that. And that's kind of what I have heard, but a masking kind of thing. But I'm not clairaudient, so I really have to work at that. But have you ever heard plants talk to you? I've heard plants kind of like say, please don't bring me home. Please don't bring me home. You will kill me. I have a black thumb. So plants know that when they enter my house, it's a death sentence, unfortunately.
Unless I visit.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's always there like, you realize you have to water this? I'm like, are you sure? I thought it was an air plant. I thought it was like a cactus. they're all like, "Take me home, please don't leave me here." That's about it. But I know you've heard.
Yeah,
Heather is.
I love being out in nature, whether it's in the woods or down by the ocean. And it's pretty consistent for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love to sit down onto Mother Earth and just put my hands down, lean up against a tree, and just become part of that tree for a few minutes. And the energy boost you get, and the messages you get from the ferns and the acorns and the trees itself and the flowers. I'm not a big fan of cut flowers just because I can hear them screaming when you cut them.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
So like I have to really kind of, yeah, I can't. It's just my the hearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything talks. And now with science out there, we have these electromagnetic readers where we can clip onto the leaves and clip onto the petals, and the you can hear them singing and talking, and like it's very real.
Yes, I've seen
Yeah.
The
that.
mighty oak tree will give you wise
Yep.
wisdom. The weeping willow will shelter you from a harbor, and just all the different energy. The birch tree will always give you its medicine, and
They all have vibration, right? And
They
so
all
that
have
vibration is
That's
their
true.
way of
Spirit.
talking and spirit,
Yep.
and so
Mhm.
they create beautiful music.
Yes.
music
Actually.
and healing too.
Yeah.
Leaning up against a birch tree. Well, in modern medicine, birch is actually used in as a form of Tylenol. So birch oil can be used in form of Tylenol, and then you have your willow bark, which is aspirin, and then your wintergreen trees, which are going to produce your ibuprofens. And so leaning up without ingesting, you can lean up against a birch tree and commune with that birch tree and receive its medicine
Wow.
instead of taking its bark and
don't have to
brewing a
lick it?
tea. Well, if you're in severe pain, it might do you some good. But make sure you're licking the right birch tree, because there's several birch trees
Okay.
out there. There's different variations of birch.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
So, and there is one birch that's toxic, so you wouldn't want to go
Oh,
licking
wow.
any
Okay.
trees.
Tongue stays in the face. In the face. I will say, and I don't know, maybe this has been something you've experienced too, Ryan, if you've ever taken your dog walking through the parks. Sometimes I do get, it's very meditative. And so I will
Yes,
hear
yes.
messages, but I'm not sure if that's coming from the plants itself, like their wisdom, or if that's coming from my guides or my inner self. I don't know if you had that experience.
Yeah, whenever I go, walking in the woods, I just get this overwhelming, peaceful, calm feeling, and it just, I think it helps me to just stay, what am I trying to say? Not centered, but well, maybe
Grounded?
that is grounded. Yeah. So it helps whenever. So if I'm ever feeling kind of like agitated or something, I'm like, I'm just gonna go for a walk in the woods, and I just get this overwhelming, peaceful feeling.
So you get,
Unless
So-
you're on a piece of land that's been traumatized, right?
True. That's
Like
understandable.
there's a
yeah.
portion of Gay City that is traumatized due to the tragic history of Gay City is that Bolton or Andover? Hebron. It's in
Yeah, around that
Connecticut.
area, yeah,
Around that
yeah.
area. There is a tragic story that goes with Gay City. And so in certain portions of that, even the land is disturbed, and no matter how much you try to put back goodness there, it's just burned. It's traumatized. So that's another totally different experience than going into the woods and feeling very comfortable and grounded and centered. There's other places all around Connecticut that have some trauma, and then there's a lot of our parks that have beautiful energy. So, but you go to the park in Bolton a lot, right?
Yeah, I go to Valley Falls,
Yeah.
and I always feel very calming
Peaceful,
energy there.
grounded.
Yeah.
That's how I feel at Mashapog and Bigelow Hollow and Union. Just grounded, peaceful. Everything's just in harmony. And then you go to Gay City, and it's like a needle going across the record. You're like,
Wow.
whoa, this is very different.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you pray for it, no matter how much you put coins down, or any kind of
For healing
blessings
to the
down,
land.
healing down, it just the earth is scorched there, and it's just it's traumatized, and it's a residual traumatized, so it's not going to change. It's just burned into its history.
So whoever sent in this question, If you're hearing trees, it's probably not your imagination.
Not at all. Hug it.
Yeah,
Hug it, kiss it, talk to it, listen to it, feel it. Do whatever your sensories allow you to do. Turn them all on.
Now that if I go to pick a flower, I'm going to hear it saying, "Don't pick me! Ouch!"
It's horrible.
Oh,
I can't
God, I
eat
feel so
lobster.
bad.
I like lobster, but I cannot boil my own lobster. I cannot
Yeah.
pick apart
I
my
can't
own
either.
lobster.
No, I can't
Right.
either.
Yep.
I can't because it's just that.
I can't.
No,
All right.
not today.
Understandable.
Well, we want to thank everybody for their questions. We'll
Thank you for your
definitely do
questions.
another Q&A. So if you have more questions, if by listening to the podcast it sparked some other questions, please do send them. Put it on our social media. Send it through direct message. Whatever you need, whatever you could do to get the questions to us. We would love to do another Q&A episode and answer more questions for you. So let's move to our affirmations. Did you get the same one, Heather?
I don't think so. I have infinite strength and flexibility to overcome all obstacles.
Yeah.
Good reminder.
Yeah. I have happiness resides not in possessions and not in gold. Happiness dwells in the soul.
Oh,
Oh,
that's a
I
good
like
one.
that.
Okay.
I have not gotten this one before. The love in my life begins with me.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
a
it
good one.
does. That's a good
That's a
one.
good one.
So if
That's
any of
a
those
really good
affirmations
one.
strike the soul or spirit of anyone out there, please take it for yourself. And we want to thank you for joining us at Ready Connect, and we look forward to connecting with you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to Ready to Connect. If you're interested in exclusive behind-the-scenes content, be sure to like, share, and follow us on social media by searching for Ready to Connect Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for those looking to further support our podcast, consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/readytoconnectpodcast. And until next time, get ready to connect.